Hi class, let's go over topic 2 homework number 23. In this problem, you are going to be given a measurement and you're going to be asked to break it apart into two measurements that build up that one. So the most common example of this could be given something like the height in inches and asked to give it in feet and inches, or given the time in minutes and then asked to give the time in hours and minutes. And then it could be reversed the other way. So you could be given a height in feet and inches and ask for what's the height in only inches. You could be given a time in hours and minutes and then what's the time in only minutes. So for our problem here, we have a street sign is 98 inches tall. How tall is it in feet and inches? So what we know is we know our street sign is 98 inches. We need to write this out as some amount of feet and some amount of inches. So we need to figure out how many whole feet we have in 98 and then how much left over is going to build our inches. So we know 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. That's our conversion factor. If you didn't know that, you could look it up, but we know 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So the first thing we want to do is we want to figure out how many total feet fit in 98 inches. So we're going to take that 98 inches and we're going to divide by that, or we're going to multiply by the conversion factor. We're going to divide out the inches. So we're going to end up dividing by the 12. So we're going to divide by the 12. And here we're going to get out a number that has a decimal, but we're not going to care about the decimal. We only care about the whole part of it. So our inches are canceling and we're going to be left with 98 inches in feet. That's what we're doing here. So we're going to take 98 divided by 12. And that gives us 8.16 repeating. So 8.1667 if we go ahead and round that off. All we care about here though is the 8. So we know 98 inches divided by 12, we get 8 in some decimal. So we know there are 8 whole feet in 98. So we know there are 8 full feet here because that was the whole number. We're ignoring that decimal. Okay, so now if we have 8 whole feet, we need to figure out how many inches that is so that we can figure out how many inches are left over. Because we don't have 0.1667 inches left over. No, we have a whole number of inches left over. We need to figure that out. So let's go ahead and figure out how many inches are in 8 feet. So let's take 8 feet and let's convert it back to inches. So this time we're going to take the 8 feet and we're going to multiply it by 12 inches over 1 foot. So here our feet are canceling out, which is what we want, and we're going to be left with inches. All right, so after we do this multiplication, 8 times 12 gives us 96. Okay, so what this is saying is that out of that 8 feet, that represents 96 inches. So 96 inches is represented here in this 8 feet. We need to figure out how many inches are left over to get a total of 98. So the very last step we're going to do here is we're going to take that total of 98 inches. We're going to subtract it off how many inches represented that 8 feet, subtract off that 96. That's going to leave us with 2 inches. So that means we would put 2 for our inches. So 8 feet and 2 extra inches gives us a total of 98 inches. 8 feet represents 96 inches. So if you take the 96 inches, tack on that extra 2, that gives you that 98. Okay, if you had to go backwards, so let's say vice versa, we started with 8 feet, 2 inches, and we need to get to just inches. What we would do here, if we were going the opposite way, we would take that 8 feet and we'd figure out how much that is in inches. So we do the same thing we did above in the problem. We take the 8 feet, convert it to inches. And that gives us that 96 inches again. This time, since we're trying to figure out the total number of inches without the feet, we're not trying to figure out how many inches are left over. We're trying to figure out the total number of inches. Here, we take that 96 inches we got for the 8 feet, add on that 2 inches, and that gives us the total. Excuse me, let me rewrite that. The total of 98 inches. Okay, so let me recap here. If you start with the total number of inches and you need to break it down to feet and inches, what you do is you start by dividing by that 12, get out your whole number, that makes out your number of feet. Figure out how many inches are represented in that 8 feet, subtract that off of the 98, and that gives you how many inches are left over to go for your inches spot. If you do it the opposite way, if you're trying to go from 8 feet to 2 inches, you want to take the 8 feet, start by converting it into inches. So you're going to take that 8 feet times the 12, get the number of inches. You're going to take that, you're going to add it on to the inches you were given in the problem, and then that will give you your total. So 2 different ways you could see this problem. Let me know if you have any questions as you're working through it.